Hey, this video is going to be an update on what's going on with the silver SL55 that you may have seen in some of the other videos. The black 03 that was here found a new home in sunny Florida. It got picked up a few weeks ago, so that car is unfortunately gone. Each time I build these or customize these, I try to make them a little bit better, a little bit different. Try to add new parts that I haven't done before. And with this one, I did something a little out of the box. The big thing that I did was fabricate or make this air intake system. Normally on these M113K motors with the E55, CLS55, SL55, if you want an aftermarket intake system, you're kind of limited. There's basically one. That intake system is going to look kind of similar right to here. That intake system is not going to include what's down here. So the ones from FabTech, there's a couple other companies that basically sell the same thing, and it's going to use the same type of design. It's going to be, you know, a Y pipe coming off the throttle body, curving around, and then there's going to be a bulge right here, right here. There's going to be a canister which houses a little triangular shaped air filter, and that's where the air filter is going to live on those systems, is right here. The problem with that is it still puts the air filter inside of the hot engine bay, right above the valve covers, right above the headers. As you can see right down there, all that heat that's coming off of that stuff is going to get absorbed into that air filter, which isn't good, first of all. Second of all, the diameter of those canisters and how small that air filter inside of that canister is going to severely restrict your airflow. There's people on some of the forums that I've seen dyno their cars with that aftermarket intake system, and then on the same day, same dyno, same everything, they pull that intake system off and they gain 15, 20, 25 wheel horsepower just from removing that system, because it's that filter and that canister is restricting that airflow that much. So I definitely didn't want to do that. So like I said, there's nothing available for this particular car. If you just want to go out and buy something, you can't. It kind of forces you to do something on your own, think of new ideas, try to come up with new products. So I kind of find this an existing product from a company that makes an intake system for the Chrysler SRT6, which has a similar looking motor and engine bay. It's, you know, a lot of the same parts are used on that car as from the SL. It's obviously not the same car, but Chrysler, Mercedes, you know, there's some design similarities and parts with that particular SRT car. So I ordered maybe 10, 15 different bends and pieces, and I was playing around with this stuff trying to do it myself, and I could have eventually done it, but it wouldn't have looked as polished, you know, aesthetically, or as nice as these two pieces, these left and right pipes do, as I was able to get from that company. So I was able to use their left and right pipes, and they actually fit pretty nice. I cut them down a little bit, and I may still cut them down a little bit more just to bring them in a touch on each side, just kind of center them up a little more, but I think it looks pretty good like as it is right now. So I got those two pipes and the Y pipe from that company, and then everything else forward I had to do myself and think of how to do this. So I experimented with different bends coming down off of these pipes into the radiator area, trying to find out the best angles and bends so these filters sit nicely and don't touch the radiator behind it, while still allowing some room for airflow behind there. And figuring out the bends for these silicone adapters. And Had to do a lot of cutting, trimming, just a ton of that. Going back and forth, trying it, fitting it, test fitting it, making new adjustments, new cuts. It was a lot, very time consuming. Luckily, if I was to do it again, I think this time around I could probably do it in a full day's work and be done with it. But a lot of these pieces in here, had to be taken off, trimmed, cut to allow these 3-inch pipes to fit in between the headlights, because they're not meant to go there, obviously, and there was about an inch of room to begin with, and I had to clear out a ton of room. But luckily I didn't have to touch or cut or trim or do anything with the headlights. They're exactly how they were. Nothing was touched on those. It's just basically some metal work on the inside there that needed to be cut and trimmed, and the radiator fins or housings had to be cut down a lot too. I don't know if you could probably see this or not. But normally there's these ears that are molded into the radiator, of which the stock tubes will slide onto. Those had to be completely cut out and removed, so these pipes will be allowed to slide down in between there and allow adequate room. So everything's nice and snug now. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and tight. Everything is good. The filters themselves are from Green Filter. According to an engineer at Green Filter that I had a conversation with, these particular filters right here should flow anywhere between 12 and 1500, depending on the condition, humidity, altitude, whatever. That's just what he told me. So even taking a worst case scenario and saying 1200 CFM, you got a pair of them for a total of 2400 CFM. These stock panel filters that sit in these stock air boxes are supposedly rated for, I think, between 5 and 650 CFM per filter. So you're talking about 1000 to 1300 CFM total versus almost 2400 to 2600 CFM on these Green filters here. Now, I'm not saying you need that much CFM or flow, but it's nice to have. That allows the filters to collect dust, dirt, get grimy over time, which will bring down the CFM rating as that surface area on the filter decreases, obviously. But it'll never allow it to drop below that threshold what the motor actually needs, because I have so much headroom with them. And obviously water, splashing up, is a slight concern. But I got these Outerwear Pre-Filters, which are basically like socks that fit over top of the actual air filter themselves. And they have a hydrophobic coating on them, which will repels water, allows it to bounce back and won't soak into the filter. I've used these on a GTR 2 or 3 times now, these Outerwears and the Green Filter combination. I've never had issues with them. I've driven them in heavy downpours. I never had any concerns or worrying about driving in the rain. The only thing is, if you're ever driving through a huge puddle where the water is above the filters, then you have a problem, but you have much more to worry about at that point in time if you're driving through 3 feet of standing water, obviously. But these are, I made it so it's still super easy to change the filters. So this bumper doesn't have to come off to change the filters. This was off because I was doing the cooling system. So that had to come off, and allowed me to have room there anyway. So I have this old grill here that I'll sit on top of these filters. You can see the filter right behind the grill there on both sides. And to change the filters, all you're going to have to do is remove 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The grill comes off, and the filters will be right there. And then there's just 1 bolt, 1, 2, and you're gonna have to remove these 2 13 mil bolts here, and just pull this piece down a little bit, angle it down, and these filters will come right out. So it's actually easier to change these filters than it is to change the stock filters, which I wanted to have, because nobody's going to want to change filters that are require the bumper to come off. It's going to take 3 hours to change some air filters. This can be done by anyone in any garage, anywhere, You know, in 20 minutes or less, you can have the filters changed. So that's it for the intake system. It should work good. I mean, there's no restriction at all in the entire system now. I would have to assume that it allows for more, you know, airflow into the throttle body. The stock boxes, you know, they actually do work very well. There's no doubt about that. And the stock system, stock setup works very good. However, it muffles the noise. People like that supercharger whine, like on a Hellcat or a Demon. You hear that loud, you know, supercharger whine. And that's kind of what I was mainly after. If there's any performance benefits, that's icing on the cake. I know it's going to sound good. I have tons of data, intake air temperatures, you know, dyno charts from other cars that have the same basic modifications that I've done to them, but use the stock air boxes. So I'm going to have a lot of good data to compare against this intake system here to see how it really works. And I'll be more than happy to post some of that if anyone's interested. The other thing I wanted to ask, maybe get an opinion from you guys, is this is how it looks without the engine cover in the middle. And I kind of like the engine cover. I got these parts done in the hydro dipped carbon fiber pattern like I usually do for the stock intake boxes and cover. And I wasn't originally planning on making this intake system until it just kind of came about one day. So I have the extra pieces here already done in this nice pattern. And when you put this middle cover back on, it just doesn't look, you know, there's something about it that's not symmetrical or aesthetically, you know, correct, in my opinion. So I'm going to try to modify this cover maybe, where it's going to cut off here, so this part will be gone, and this part will cut down here, and this will go away. So it's just going to leave this piece in the middle here, which covers up, you know, the pulley and this stuff that you really don't care about seeing. It's not aesthetically pleasing. But it's still going to look a lot nicer, I think, coming off these lines down here. It's just basically going to extend the appearance of the blower itself and make it look a little longer maybe, while having some of that carbon fiber pattern still in the engine bay, some gloss, some different texture, make it look more interesting. So option one would be to leave this exactly how it is right now. Don't touch, don't cut anything. Just slap it on there and leave it like that. Option number two would be to do what I had originally said and cut here. Cut here. So it's just going to leave this middle piece here. And then option number three would obviously to be not use it at all. And that's what you're left with there. So you're going to see all the belts and the pulleys and, you know, that type of stuff. So let me know in the comments below which option you like, 1, 2, or 3. We'll see about that. The other modification, well, I'm doing the original, you know, the stuff I always do with the exhaust. As you can see, I have basically everything from the heads off of the car. All the way back to the mufflers. The mufflers are still on there. I haven't taken them off yet, but they are coming off. They just slide out. And that's the stock setup there, as you can see. And I'm going to be doing something completely front to back, you know, custom, getting rid of everything. I was trying to simplify or make things a little easier, so I started looking at these pre-made X pipes for like a Camaro and a Mustang, which use, you know, stainless pipe, 3-inch, and the design is shockingly similar to this SL setup. If you put them on top of each other, they're pretty close, but it's a little wider, unfortunately. As you can see there, I'd have to cut the middle section out of this left and right about 1 inch on each side to bring them in closer. And this part here is going to be too wide for the transmission tunnel in the middle when the two pipes come all the way back. So this one's no good, unfortunately, because this one's made really well. The welds are nice, the materials are nice. You know, would have loved to just get away with using that one. That's made by Pipes, by the way. So I find something else that was made for a Camaro SS, a new one, which also has that same similar design as the Mustang and this SL. And these ones do fit with no modification. So I'll lay it on top of each other here. You can see, it may not look 100% on camera, but trust me, it's when it's underneath the car, it's a damn good fit. And that would replace that whole middle section there with 3-inch stainless piping, which would have been perfect. I mean, it saves a ton of time, ton of fabrication, just throwing that pipe on there and then making some, you know, connection pipes that'll go up here to the high flow cats, which I'm going to put on, and then attaching to the headers, which is easy enough to do. But unfortunately, this pipe here made by Dynamax is just a piece of shit, to be perfectly honest. The welds, you know, aren't very nice, as you can see. And the biggest complaint that I have with this one here is this X-pipe in the middle. The cross section of this X-pipe is so small and choked on. I don't understand why they did this. But the 3-inch pipe on each side obviously combines into one, comes back out as a normal X-pipe would. But they cut so much off of these 3-inch pipes that this diameter now is so shrunken down. It has to be, you know, it's probably close to 1 3-inch pipe now in the middle, as compared to on this X-pipe made by Pipes here, which is done correctly. You can see how wide, you know, this middle section is here, which retains, you know, within probably 10% of dual 3-inch pipes, the same exhaust flow out of there. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be using this Dynamax pipe just because of how small that cross section is on the X-pipe. So I'm going to have to make something 100%, you know, custom front to back, headers to tips. And as you can see, I got a crap ton of bends and mandrel bent pieces, stainless pieces here that I'm going to be making stuff out of. I've got 3 or 4 different mufflers and resonators that I'm going to try using. You know, putting them all on one after another, taking a drive to see which one gives me the best sound effect or, you know, sound combination that I'm looking for. So that'd be interesting to see how that pans out. The other thing that I did differently on this car was the headlights. You can see on these headlights here, there's no vinyl sticker or nothing covering the actual lens. This is exactly how it should be. I had these lenses baked and then opened up, separated, and then painted the inside of the housing a semi-flat black color. And I left the portion over here and the portion over here in the original chrome color and painted this trim ring in a gloss black. And I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it definitely, with the chrome and the 2 different kinds of black, gives it some contrast, and it allows you to see the design of this folded metal piece here a lot more, and it looks pretty aggressive. The other thing I had them do was change out the projector lens. Normally this lens in the middle is like a frosted color, and they do that to reduce the light output and reduce the chances of it blinding the oncoming traffic, and they put a line in the middle to do that, is what I'm told. So this is going to increase the light output. I think it was by 100%. It was like double the light output. I actually have them make a video when they change these. I'll put it in the description below if you're curious to see the light output difference between the stock lens in the middle here and this clear lens that was put in. It's a relatively inexpensive modification to do, and it literally doubles the light output and gives you a much sharper, crisper cutoff in the middle of the light. So I'll be excited to see how that works once I actually get this out on the road. But in testing here in the garage, they look phenomenal. So I want to show you a comparison to this one of the stock headlights, just in case you forgot what those look like. There's that for comparison with the black. And then we'll walk outside here. And that's just, 100% chrome stock. And the thing I'm not crazy about with that is it just all blends together in, one blob of color. You don't really see the folded part here, and the trim ring is the same, and it just looks like one big, one big blob of color pretty much. Yeah, these are the two other cars that I haven't even started on yet, by the way. This one here is an 03 SL55 with about 40K original miles. And this is a Designo or Designo packaged car. And it actually has the peanut butter, I'm not sure what the exact name, but it looks like peanut butter color leather. And with that Designo package, everything inside, the dash, the center console, the armrest, behind the seats, door panels, is all leather instead of vinyl like it would be on a normal SL. And the seats themselves are actually made from that higher quality, softer, buttery Napa leather. So this color combination looks really good. It's super dirty, it's been sitting out for a little bit. And then this is a 06 CLS 55 with about 23 or 24,000 miles on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this one 100% stock and just clean it up yet, or if I'm going to modify it. I know you can get a real nice set of long tube headers for this car for good money, which would really sound amazing on it. So I'll probably get started on one of these here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. This silver SL was going to be done, I'd say within 3 weeks. Have to finish making the exhaust. I got all the carbon bits and pieces to put on the outside. I have the new wheels coming in, need installed. Needs to be lowered still. And then detailed. And then, oh yeah, I have to get the tuning done. The custom tune will be done after that. So like I said, maybe about 3 weeks total until this silver SL is done here, and then I'll be starting on one of those two. I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything or want to see anything else, feel free to shoot me an email. I know I've been a little slow responding to some of the emails. I plan on getting to each and every one of them, I promise. Sometimes I've been having trouble with this Hotmail extension where a lot of the stuff's been going to spam, or I just haven't been getting it at all. So if you did send me a question and I haven't answered it and it's been a while, feel free to send it again, and I'll make sure to answer it.